Welcome back. This is video series number 3, and we're talking uninsured deeds. And we're going to just get right into it and tell you guys what is an uninsured deed. An uninsured deed refers to any recorded deed that didn't go through a title process, aka it wasn't vetted and insured by a title company during the transfer. So think transfers between family members, quit claim deeds, off-record inheritance, and DIY transfers. We've kind of seen it all, Dana and I, which is another reason why we decided to make this video, because when it's not transferred or vetted properly, there's a lot of gray area and a lot of things that we should look out for. So Dana will talk about the red flags, and then we'll talk about some, real life scenarios.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I see uninsured deeds often. And with uninsured deeds, anybody can create a deed and get it recorded with the county, right? So it's very simple to do that. You get it notarized, you get it recorded. I could transfer my title of my property into the name of Stephanie. But then when Stephanie goes to resell that property, if it was never insured, then the title company is going to question, was this a valid deed? Did I intend to transfer this over to Stephanie, right? Because the title company is ensuring the fact that we're tracking the people that transfer the property and that they get the assets during the sale. The proper people do. So some of why it's a red flag. So title needs proof that the transfer was legitimate. So when we have a sale with an uninsured deed, title is going to need an uninsured deed affidavit, also known as an estoppel affidavit, where they're going to require that previous person who transferred to the current owner re-sign, right, and re-notarize that this was indeed intentional. So I have seen issues though where that person has moved, right? They're in Mexico or they're gone or we can't get a hold of them. So it sometimes takes a really long time to find those people in order to get them to sign that. So another red flag is there could be fraud, forged signatures, coercion. I've seen this, I've witnessed it as far as like the documents where our title team has noticed that, hey, this deed was completely forged. It's not legitimate. This is not the person that signed it. So that is a huge, huge problem. And that can cost title companies millions of dollars based on the sale amount, right? So that's something that we're always looking out for. And then also did that person intend to sign? Is that their signature, or did a family member or a friend sign on behalf of them, right? And then breaks the chain of title. Maybe then they did the transfer. They didn't transfer it from the previous owner, right? So sometimes we'll see Dana transferred to Stephanie, and then it didn't even go from Stephanie to the next person. It went from back to Dana to somebody else, right? So that breaks the chain of title. It's not in order sometimes, which can be an issue. That can be a big problem actually when there's a break in the chain. Also, it could delay escrow or make it unsellable without a quiet title action. So a huge question that I always hear is, Dana, like, can I get this transfer insured by a title and company, right? Because then if it's not insured, you're going to need an estoppel affidavit or an uninsured deed affidavit when you go to sell. Well, the answer is no. You cannot just go through a title insurance company unless it's a refinance or a sale of a property. So just know that when you're transferring title, you are always going to need that previous person who transferred to sign off on another document when you go to resell. So if it's been transferred 8 times, we're going to need 8 of those uninsured deed affidavits by all of those 8 people that transferred it. So that's definitely some good information to know. And I think I kind of dived a little bit into some real life.
That's good. You went straight into real life scenarios, which, I'll add a couple more scenarios that maybe some of you are experiencing right now and can relate, right? And then hopefully reach out to us so that we can just help you with the proper steps, because we've also seen it all. I mean, we saw this as well, which is another reason why we've been intentional with these series videos. Every single one of them serves a purpose, and we've gone through it as well. But some real life scenarios. Number one would be the mom deeds the house to the daughter via a quitclaim deed, but no title insurance. Years later, the daughter tries to sell, and then title says we need to confirm that mom had full rights and the deed is legit. In this case, I've actually would have had the property in a trust, right, and had the daughter as part of the trust. If anything happened to the mother, then the daughter would then kind of take over. But in this case, if she did that, that's something that happens very often amongst family members, and we've also seen it amongst like friends and colleagues and just people. I've seen it at all. And another one would be a tenant forges a deed and records it, and then years go by. Title won't insure it until ownership is cleared through the court. We've also kind of seen just a little bit of everything, but I don't know if you want to add to those scenarios and share a couple more just to give people.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest issues that we see is just trying to really honestly find those previous people that
Mhm.
did that transfer, right? The uninsured transfer. So
Or
that
they
is,
passed away. Like
yeah.
we had one where we were trying to verify, okay, this deed was transferred to you a year ago. Where is that person now? Oh, they passed away. Oh, great.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that, or you say, "I don't know where they are. I can't locate
Hmm.
them. I
Hmm.
don't I don't have any information on that," and it's not that easy, right? Like, because we
Right.
can't just clear it without any of the proper documentation that's required. So it's very important. Sometimes people also think that they can run away from their problems by transferring, a property, and that is not the case. So I think something really important to also talk about is that if you're transferring, um, the title of a property and it's not being insured and you're trying to believe you're trying to avoid a problem, maybe you're going to have federal tax liens or child support or something that's going to be owed where you're scared it's going to attach to you, so you transfer it to your daughter or
Someone else.
someone else.
Hmm.
That's still your issues. Even though you're no longer on title, you still are on that chain until it's been insured, so those issues will still link up to that property, right? So whenever that property goes to resell, all of those issues, those liens, those judgments, right, they're still going to go onto that
They
property.
still follow you.
They
And
follow you.
then that delays the sale, or honestly, sometimes it even stops the sale. You can't even sell the property, which means everything goes on hold. And sometimes, if you don't work like how Dana and I work, where we pull preliminary titles prior to selling the property, prior to even putting it on the market, then most agents kind of work backwards. They put it on the market and then they start verifying what title looks like and kind of the story behind that. That's a big no-no, because then now you've got the property in escrow, you got an offer hyped up, ready to go, and you can't perform because of title issues, which could have been avoided. The best thing to do is reach out to us if you're unsure. We can definitely pull title, and then Dana will verify everything. And then from there, we can say, okay, we need to work some things out before we put it on the market. And it saves you so much time and headache versus having to put it on and then put it on hold. Now buyers start questioning, well, what's wrong with the property? And many times there's nothing wrong with the property. It's the way that, you know, things kind of laid out on the back end as far as title not being verified, and then people just jumping the gun to want to put it on the market when it wasn't even ready or sellable.
I think that another thing is that a lot of time communication is so important, right?
Mhm.
Between the realtor, the owner, the title,
Right.
if we ever have, I'm just gonna like a gut feeling, even like there's just been a lot of things happening with this property. I'll always pull a property profile first too around on the
Mhm.
property, even
Mhm.
before a listing appointment takes place sometimes, and we'll see what transfers have taken place since the last insured sale. And if there's been a lot of transfers, right, then that tells us we really need to jump on this one early. I always
Exactly.
recommend getting a preliminary title report early, but yeah, have those conversations too, right? Like Stephanie will have conversations with the owner and say, hey, did you know about all these previous transfers? Then we'll pull the preliminary title report and we will see what's attached. Are there any of those liens on there? Is there child support? Are there back taxes? And sometimes people are really surprised what's on there, and it can be challenging, but luckily most of the time there is a way to close since values have gone up so much. In this case of uninsured deeds, the number one issue is finding those people that signed over the deed previously.
Exactly.
It could have been 10 years ago, right? Or longer, and
Mhm.
long gone. So that is the number one, I think, focus, I would say, is making sure we know where those people are at so that we can get those signed.
Get in contact with them. Yeah. And then I think we're also going to finish off with a list here of things that you guys will most likely need. And then we'll wrap up this one.
So what title will usually ask for a copy of the deed. And then they're going to ask for a death certificate if there was anybody that had been deceased. An affidavit of death, which is paperwork that'll need to be completed. Escrow will assist in getting that prepared and completed with the client. And then court action, quiet title if needed to clear title. So that's if there's a real issue with a break in the chain of title. I don't see that very often, but that is something that can come up. And those are the things that usually title will be asking for, though, in these situations.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. So that's it for now. Make sure to reach out to us if you're having any issues with uninsured deeds or you're unsure of uninsured. So just reach out to us and we'll see you guys on the next series.
Bye. Thank you.